Hello and welcome everyone, I'm C.S.Gilmore, and this is Powerwash Simulator. And hopefully, it's all going well, with you be able to hear me clearly and everything going correctly. Because I am experimenting with some audio features. Once again, I've had that continued issue of my voice audio weirdly dipping and becoming, hard to hear when there's a lot of weird ambient noises in the game and other issues like that. And I've been trying to find fixes for it, and I think I finally found a way to adjust a compressor on the mic input so that it should balance out correctly. Fingers crossed. This will be our first test of it. Maybe not the best test of it, but I've experimented with a few other things. This will be my first official recording test of it, I suppose I should say, of recording the video for an actual episode. I've done some test recordings, trying to get things to work out, balance them out, but it's hard to say if it will work or not until it's too late. Because the whole idea of trying to work with Audacity, separate track, and everything else was getting a little daunting to try to balance out and make sure everything aligned up correctly. It just got iffy. Anyway. We are two humble confectioners, brother and sister, living on our own, deep in the woods of the national park, and there's absolutely nothing strange about that. We are also the creators of the finest gingerbread ever to grace the county, but to stay on top we need constant reinvention, and our dream forest home has become a grubby grotto, affecting our ability to dream up wonderful new recipes. Come. Can you come and restore our cottage, and with it our creative flow? Danke. H&G Hexenjäger. Hexenjäger. Hexenjäger? Hansel and Gretel Hexenjäger. Okay. Lots of cleaning. Hello, our force home puts the grot into grotto. Haha, could you come and give it a spring clean, please? Alright, well, let's try it. Hope this works. Hoping the audio works right, and hoping we can have just a nice, relaxing clean of things without any further annoying complications to my general trying to get things done. Okay, it's hard to tell. I know it's natural for people to be suspicious, but we really are who we say we are. It's really hard to tell what's clean and what isn't with this texture of building. But alright, it seems to be coming clean easily enough, so I'm gonna be all happy with this place so far. So what should we chat about today? They'll hopefully come across clearly now that we've made adjustments. Other than the hassle of... Well, I guess that's what we can start with. The hassle of trying to get audio right. As many of you have likely noticed, there have been some significant audio failings in a lot of my videos. Usually areas where for whatever reason my voice dips weirdly and you can't hear what I'm saying, and it just gets weird and annoying. At least it's annoying for me, and I imagine it's annoying for you as listeners too, and probably doesn't help for why most people don't listen to these videos anyway. The issue was so the issue is that my OBS studio records audio and video all at the same time, and it records the game audio at the same time it records my voice. And I think that there was for whatever reason, my old settings and how things were working, whatever reason, there was an issue where when the game had a lot of ambient noise or certain louder noises, my voice would get quieted down for whatever reason to make it work. I don't know why, but it would cause my voice to get quieter while the game audio hit certain points, and that was kind of contrary to what I really wanted it to do. especially since I was, providing a lot of commentary for these videos. And it's, like I said, super annoying for you guys when I'm trying to explain something in a game and you can't actually hear what I'm saying. But you can tell I'm talking, you just, can't hear what it actually is I'm saying to why am I talking, basically. And so that led me to the trying to figure it out. I was debating, would it work if I took if I recorded with, say, Audacity, the sound recording program, and then edited that into the video and just didn't record my personal audio at all otherwise. But then there was the issues I was thinking about. It's like, wait, but then I have to edit out these. If I edit out certain parts of the video, then they might end up out of sync. And also there was the issue of what if I have to start recording on both of those programs. That means they're already going to be out of sync just for me starting to record on one of them while not having started with the other yet. And so that kind of shot that plan in the foot real quick after I was initially planning to do it, and I realized this complicates things in a whole different way. Anyway, I did a bunch of Google search, trying to figure out what I could do, and ultimately the result that came up that I'm hoping will work is to, one, lower the game volume intake a little bit more than maybe what I already had, and also to add a compressor to my mic pickup. A compressor filter, which apparently behaves differently than I thought that's how that worked. It, prevents certain ranges from getting hit, I guess. And hopefully, if all goes well, it should prevent some weird bleed over issues. And I think, because part of it I think was also that my mic was picking up the game audio and mixing it up as my voice, and focusing on the game audio instead of my voice. So, so I've installed a compressor following some guidelines that I found online that I'm hoping will work. Once again, I am no expert on these things, which I really should be after all these years, but I'm really not a huge expert on a lot of these audio-video things. I usually don't really get feedback from anyone on any of the videos as to that sort of thing, so I'm kind of left figuring it out on my own. So yeah, whole thing there. I'm fingers crossed this is the fix that'll make it work, and none of you have to live with horrible audio quality again. Okay, you probably will at some point, I don't know. I can dream, right? I really hope it works. I'm getting so sick of putting all the work into recording and not having it work right. The other fix I could think of would be to record audio separately, like after the fact. Like record the video and then record the audio. But that had its own issues, because then it was like, okay, but then, my reactions would be genuine. Like, oh, spooky, scary thing jumped out and scared me half to death, gave me a small heart attack. Ah, yes, I'm scared now. No. I want the, when it happened reaction on my videos, and so, yeah, it complicates life. But this will hopefully fix it. Just a simple fix, hopefully, and as long as it's effective, we're good. Was, lowering the game audio input a bit more, adjusting that around, and then yeah, game audio compressor addition to my mic pickup. I don't know why the mic pickup specifically, but the instructions I found very much said, do not put it on the game pickup. Otherwise, it'll cause other issues. But it sounds like it would have created a reverse of the problem I had, where it would make the game audio quiet every time I spoke, which is also not what I was aiming for. Because I want you guys to be able to experience what I'm experiencing. So it's a complicated balancing act. So comments below, have you noticed any differences in this video so far compared to the others? If you have watched any of the other ones. And I hope you'll keep me appraised in any future videos if there's any audio issues you notice. Even if it's a quick, yo, hey, I tried listening to this and just couldn't do it because the audio got weird. And it's done my other videos after this one releases. Before this, then, that was still me realizing the depth of the problem and trying to figure out how to fix it. And kind of having to go on with life with it not being fixed. So, yeah. Issues one way or the other. But, only so much I can do. Moving forward into the future, hopefully this will not be the issue. And I know some of you are probably thinking, why didn't you fix this way sooner? And part of it is because, like I said, lack of feedback. I don't notice these problems myself all the time. Because I don't always see, like, the entire recording. Like, the amount of time it would take into editing to go through every recording piece by piece gets ridiculous. But I've noticed it more and more lately in areas where I have actually seen and heard it, that I knew it was an actual problem. I don't know how long it's been a problem. I don't know if this will fix it. I hope it does. And we can move on with life and that future videos will not be so tainted from issues like that. Because I want to create quality videos. I do. I just, when you don't realize there's a problem to fix and they're having trouble finding an actual solution to the fix, it can be a bit disheartening. To then discover, I've recorded dozens, if not hundreds of videos. And how many of them have had this issue without me realizing it? And how many of them are, it's like, I can't go back and redo half of these things without taking a ridiculous amount of time, effort, and... oh, my head. That would be such a headache. For so much of this. Because I've, already, even with the issues, I've put literal hours into video recording and editing. And the longer the video, the more, sometimes more, sometimes less editing it takes, depending on whether I need to add transitions or work in other areas. I'm definitely I'm no expert still on it. I don't know how to do special effects. I don't know how to do weird. I barely know how to do basic transitions half the time. And yeah, it's a thing that you think maybe I'd have gotten a lot more experience with, but it's not the easiest thing. There's a reason that some people make a living doing that sort of thing, because someone is willing to pay them and able to pay them to do that work for them, because it is insanely time consuming. Yes, we moved here just a week after that bank robbery, but people move house all the time. Alright, I wouldn't even know about a bank robbery if you hadn't mentioned it. Now you're making me wonder, Mr. Hansel and Gretel. Mr. and Mrs. Hansel and Gretel. Totally not somehow connected to other sketchy activities. This house is coming clean surprisingly easily. And I probably shouldn't say that because it'll jinx it, but it's nice. It's nice when I don't have to curse at this whole thing to get to do basic cleaning job, or that I don't have to use a special detergent or a extra strong pressurization to get the job done. Every once in a while, it's just satisfying to have a basic run over it with a standard spray that covers more than a tiny area, and you can actually get the result you want. Alright. There we go, there we go. And this windowsill is dirty on the edges. There we go. Okay, where am I missing? Chimney is missing at the top. Sidewall is missing just here and there. Somewhere on here is a spot. It is just enough to cause it to be difficult. Up there? There we go. Chimney, give up. Come on, come clean. You know you want to. There we go. Alright, I'm just trying to get what I can from, ground level. So before I have to try to get up above and get awkward angling on so much of this. This one's, yeah, like this area here. This undercarriage area is just going to be such a pain to try to get if I have to squeeze a ladder here and go underneath it still. Alright, we're good. We're good, we're good, we're good. Yeah, I can live with that for now. Alright, that's done, that's done. That done, that's done. Done, 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 done. Sidewall. Oh, that's why this isn't done. This sidewall goes way up. Yeah, this sidewall is going to take a bit because it goes over a much larger area than it initially was. Oh. I wish I could sort of, Sometimes it's one of those things where I wish I had a better idea of the audio quality and other things while I'm recording. But while I'm recording, everything seems fine while I'm recording. Why would it seem weird? Why would it be difficult? Because all I hear is what I hear. Not, oh, by the way, it's not coming across correctly because that part doesn't come out in a visible form or in a detectable form until the editing stage and or the playing the video backstage. At which point, it's already too late, especially for games where like this one where, oh, you've done this one task, now it's done. Yeah, you could replay, but you won't get the story elements again, or something like that. A lot of those games that just keep the autosave progress or continue progress, it only works so well. Ooh, what's this? What? The... That sure looks like a bank being robbed. But, also, why is this house marked with it? Did someone just graffiti it as going, yeah, you were definitely involved? This could just be a lot of things, I suppose, but it seems unlikely that Hans and Gretel did it themselves, since they are claiming innocence. It'd be weird to be like, oh yes, we did this, and so we painted it on our incriminating looking imagery on our own house. Yep, that would not make sense. So nice to see chunks of this place just come clean all at once. What's up with the pink? You got a candy witch stuck in the basement, do you, maybe? Because that's some weird coloration you got there. So sweet and satisfying when it just a bunch of stuff just clicks in short order like that. Ah, yes. The sweet sound of clean. Okay, I'm gonna have to get a ladder on this side just because this side wall is too big. Okay, this one's high enough pressure. This range that I can just clean this off. Does take a little bit of work, but at least I don't have to go. Well, yeah, at least I don't have to go down to the red nozzle for this to get off. That would have been annoying. Alright. Well, I've rambled on about audio troubles enough. So, this game design is actually weirdly simple, but also really good. Like, I didn't expect to like this game as much as I do, in a lot of ways. It's simple. It's better than anticipated, though. It's strangely satisfying to clean, very easy to just sit down and not have to stress about gameplay as much. I don't have to try all that extra hard for this game. I can, like, what do I say, a shooter or something. I can just kind of relax. Which is good, especially on days like today where it's been busy. I had work, my kids have been little hooligans, causing trouble and stressing out their mom quite a bit. Fighting with each other, getting into trouble, usual issues. And yeah, all the audio trouble that I've been trying to fix and hopefully have now. I hope that setting doesn't reset every time I turn off OBS. That would be really annoying if I have to reset the filter every time. But OBS usually saves settings, so, as far as I know, so we should be good. Fingers crossed, because I don't want to have to argue with it more than I already do. There we go, another one down. Nice. Nice. Also, I'm pretty sure we have more main storyline after this. Even though, like, this looked like the last one for now. I'm fairly confident we have more main storyline because there's achievements for getting a lot more stars. And in the campaign, I think even said specifically. So, yeah. So, fingers crossed this all goes well, and then we'll have some more stuff open up. Because I really want to get, like, the better equipment before I try the DLC stuff. Especially the Warhammer one, I want to just be able to have the best stuff all ready for it. Then I can not stress about trying, I can clean easier while I talk your ears off about Warhammer. Because Warhammer lore, I do know quite a lot about. Alright, so far so good. Missing a piece of this timber somewhere. Just do it sideways so I can. There we go. There we go. The wall is still dirty. Now it's not. Alright, that's not going to come clean until I can get up on above. You know, I didn't really look around first. I should have seen how big this house really was before I dived in on some of this. I'm a little worried that those windows and like the curves on the roof are going to be extra annoying. Like the gables up there, whatever you want to call them. That chimney over there. Yeah. I'm worried that a few parts of this will be extra annoying. But so far so good. Yeah, I'm going to have to definitely get a ladder to get up to some of those spots. Some of them are just too far up there to really work with otherwise. Also, I hope everyone had a good Halloween, by the way. By the time you see this, it'll be like a good month past Halloween, probably. But hope everyone had a good Halloween. Hope everyone has a good Thanksgiving as well. I imagine we'll be spending it with family like we usually do. Usually for us, Thanksgiving involves getting the kids together, cooking up some various dishes, including pie, lots of pie, and then getting together with my great aunt and uncle, maybe a few other family members, like my sister, who's also living locally, and then I don't know, probably a few other people. Yeah, my sister and her wife, and yeah, a few others. And then we go and just get together for, well, big Thanksgiving dinner. You might say I bear a slight resemblance to Floozy McGee, but she was much younger than I am now, and such a happy soul. Lady, I don't know what you're even talking about. Floozy McGee? Who's in the Woodson? Alright, let's put this here and see if we can get this annoying area taken care of. This is such a steep little incline into this. Don't like it. Yeah, alright. Definitely got some areas here and here that are being difficult, but we can make it work. That's a little better. Okay, let's get these side areas then. Yeah, that's much better. I wish the ladder hit these outer shelves a little easier, but the outer edge is always going to be a pain with some of these things, I suppose. There's that one. Probably gonna have to come back to this one after again to the other side, or we're gonna stand on the windowsill. Yeah, that makes sense. Not. I love that I fit on here somehow. Can't even tell what I'm actually spraying right now. Window frame. Okay. Where am I missing on this thing? Under here? There we go. Alright. There we go. It's just being a little tricky. Did I get this side already? Yeah, good. Oh, bit. Okay, let's try to get this side bit. It's gonna be a problem otherwise. Don't have to go get the scaffolding over here and try to make that fit in this little side area. Just to spray that. A little better. I can't really get an angle on that one part though. That's annoying. We'll make it work. Alright, one more large corner bit. Or large pointed steeple? What would this be called? I'm no architect. I don't know. Design dungeons. I don't know all the little nitty gritty pieces of the rooms. I know how to make a good layout for rooms for a party to run through though. But not for all the little nitty gritty bits. I'm not gonna be like, yes, here you have the veranda with its double awning. Not that kind of detail. Oh, and also you see the wooden trim coated in pearlescent sailboats along the rim of the bathtub. Okay, maybe that would be a detail I'd include depending on how much it would stick out and add to the scene, but still seems a little iffy to me. Alright, that got that part done. That part's done. Back Eve. Alright, missing some part on this one. Ah, there we go. Ah, that's something in my eye. 1 second, sorry. Ah, ow. Okay, I am happy with the current, well, wait. Eve, yeah. Alright. I'm happy with the current layout of this. Let's put this here and get up on this roof now. Now let me say right off the bat, I would hate this house. This is a super steep roof. The idea of how steep this would be probably be to make sure that snow doesn't build up on it in winter, causing weight on the house and risk of collapse. But this house is so steep, I would hate it because I would be so worried about falling off the stupid thing. Oh, I have to spray the fence too? I didn't even realize that was a thing. I see that now. Okay. I just saw that glow down there while I was checking things. I was like, wait a second. Yeah, this I can work with. This isn't too bad. Or if I should swap back to the green. What if I did the white one? Would the white one work here? Or would the white one be a little too spread? Just slightly too spread out. Just something about it doesn't feel right. It bothers me, if that makes any sense. It kind of feels like I'm just way too lightly spraying everything, I feel like. And it bothers me that it just feels like I'm like the hose doesn't have proper pressure, if that makes sense. Something about it just ugh, weird. Yeah, okay, the green one seems to be the sweet spot of feels like I have pressure, actually seems to be working on most of this stuff, covers a slightly larger area for ease of coverage. I'm curious what they're going to throw at us next, though. They like to throw these weird... We seem to be getting a lot of fairy tale, like Grimm's fairy tales connections. We've had Hansel and Gretel with this one, but before that even we had the old lady who lives in a shoe. I think we've had any others. Any other fairy tale references? Did we? I don't know. But like, it's definitely one of the ones that they seem to bring up is some of those fairy tale references. I don't know if we've had anything like Little Red Riding Hood or Three Little Pigs, Mary Had a Little Lamb. I don't think we've had any of those sorts of connections yet. Maybe never will, but just something that sorry, it's just something that came to mind and had me thinking. I love that I can apparently climb up the side of this house's roofing, no problem. Not that it's almost completely vertical, and would almost certainly actually be a complete hazard of me slipping out, especially since, like, look at this roof. This is it's a tile roof, but like a wooden tile roof. Usually those are a lot looser than just basic tiling, especially on an older house if it's this dirty. And being pressure washed with the power washer here, it would we'd have problems with probably knocking the various tiles off of this roof, which would be a big no-no in a lot of ways. That would cause so much property damage. Oh well, just another one on the list of reasons this game isn't quite realistic. But still good, because it takes out some of the... Like, it's still got some nitty-gritty spots, but it doesn't overly realistic. It doesn't make everything overly realistic to the point of just like, oh yeah, this would be so much harder in real life. I don't have to have a hose connected that I have to keep untangled. I don't have to worry about how much water I've got. Like, somewhere out here in the woods, I'd probably have to bring a water tank or something, unless they've got a good pump set up to a... what would they use for that? Yeah, they'd have to have a good water pump set up to a well or something to get water out here, I would imagine. I don't have to hook up to something weird like that and hope that it works. In the game, real life, it would be a whole other story, though. And so much harder. I like that little piece of roof kind of is a separate piece. That little section of roof there was like, yeah, that's a different roof entirely. Meanwhile, so these other bits are like, yes, is the roof. Whoa, I almost walked off there, and that was unpleasantly... Yeah, that was a bit on the unpleasant end of things. I did not like the angling on that. Okay, we got that part done. keep working on this for now. Then we go down here. Man, I wish moss came off this easy. All this moss and lichen growth. But that stuff, like, will cling on real well. Especially if it was a wooden setup like this, it could get its roots in deep. Probably cause issues of the house actually decomposing a bit if you're not careful. Oh, that's a good story I should share. So when we bought this property that we currently live on, it had 4 huge, I want to say they were maple trees. Now we're down to 1. We have 1 maple tree left. Hansel looks nothing like Rocky McGee. Hansel has a huge beard, like long unruly hair and defeated eyes. What strange conversations you bring up. Rocky was young, clean-shaven, handsome, with such spirit. Alright. Can't tell if you guys are dissing each other, or trying to weirdly cover for each other. How long ago was this bank robbery you guys mentioned? We're talking recent, or are we talking, like, old history that never got resolved? Because I'm starting to think the way they're talking about this is older history. Anyway. I lost my train of thought. I don't remember what we were talking about before this. Brain. I am too tired. Part of the reason I'm doing this instead of some of the other games, besides the testing out the new audio settings on something that is less important for that sort of thing in a lot of ways. Still has some noises because, hey, we've got water spraying all over the place. Lots of white noise, as it were. Yeah, it's still also easier on the brain. I need to get, and I'm hoping to finish this, call it a night, get some sleep. What is this? Back dormer cap. Is that what this thing up the top is? Guess so. Ah, yes. There we go. This house is already looking much nicer than it was. Well, there's some more of that weird pink. What's up with that? What is up with that? That is such a weird... Like, I don't know. Seems like an artificial pink of some sort, but why? Up the basement door and on the chimney. Of all the places. I love that I can spray inside the chimney, no problem, and not, flood the house. And other issues. Also, don't have to worry about falling into the chimney or anything. That'd be silly. Okay, that part's done. That part's done. Okay, roof gabling. Got that side. Gotta get this side. There we go. Go down on this end. And work my way back up it. I remember the story of Hansel and Gretel. It's been a long time since I went through some of my basic fairy tales. Trying to remember if there was a chimney issue involved in that one at all. Probably not. But honestly, if you look back at old fairy tales, especially the old Grimm's fairy tales, they were way darker than a lot of us are usually familiar with. Like, a lot of stuff has been Disney-fied, as I like to say, call it, where Disney's made a rendition of it, and it's so much nicer and not at all like, oh yeah, this is a cautionary tale, like they initially are and were. Or rather, it's like, oh yes, here's a story, bedtime story for you, instead of, and then they all died. The end. Let this be a lesson to you, young Jimmy. Never ride into the woods on your own, because you never know what horrible monstrosity is hiding in the shadows. Like that giant wolf that nearly ate your brother the other day. Nope. Don't have to worry about that in real life anymore. Not nearly so much. But, and the tales don't carry that dire a warning anymore for a lot of people. I mean, you can still get some of them, like, some meaning out of a lot of the stories. Even the Disney-fied versions have cautionary moments in some ways, and maybe not to the same extent. And you could also still get a lot of, you could probably work out some lesson out of some of them. Anyway, for some reason I'm right, it was The Boy Who Cried Wolf. And how that's basically a cautionary tale against lying, because, hey, if you lie all the time, no one's going to believe you when it matters. I don't know, how common is that story anymore nowadays? People still know about that one? I don't know how many stories from my childhood still get told. I remember as a kid, we had a cassette tape. I don't know how many of you know what that is, but basically a little audio tape you could stick into a player and listen to it. And we had one for, the Boy Who Cried Wolf. And it had this funky rendition of a wolf on it. And for whatever reason, that story scared me. The way it was told, not necessarily the story itself, but like the it's not so much the story itself, it's more the, how to put it, the art for the cassette tape scared me as a kid, if I remember right. And I think it was because I had a fear of wolves growing up. I don't know why I did. I'm gonna say Neverending Story was part of it. If you ever watched a Neverending Story, one of the main enemies is this creepy wolf thing that is an old puppet animatronic. I don't think it was an animatronic, probably puppets, but creepy. And for some reason, that and The Boy Who Cried Wolf, its art, like, kind of resonated with me in a way that actually creeped me out as a kid. Probably still does if I actually were to go look at them. Weird things I remember being scared of, and now I look at it and they're like, that's nothing. Being scared is a funny thing. Especially, the changes over time for some of those things. So you are going to be a pain. Alright. I'm going to have to pressure blast that. Let's focus on the roof for now. Get that done. Then we'll worry about pressure blasting the wind weather vane. Brain, words. But getting scared is a funny thing. I also remember growing up and like when it first came out, Doom 3, which took a different turn to a lot of the Doom games. It went a lot more into, like, it was still a shooter, still a lot of the same things, but it kind of retold the Doom story with a lot more. It tried to go more, just plain spooky levels. It tried to focus on how spooky it would be to have these demons from another dimension or ever breaking it through into our reality and all that. This wall's not done. Where's the spot I'm missing? Where is the spot I'm missing on this stupid wall? There we go. That guy, apparently. But Doom 3 was scary to play through the first time I played it. And a lot of it was, I admit, was more the soundtracks and everything. I'd creep into a room and be like, oh, what's going to be in here? Is something going to pop out of a wall? Teleport in? What? What am I going to get attacked by? And I'd actually be worried about it. And then we got to, and there was one, like, secret you could find where you end up in a hallway, you go through it, and you find some weapon or power-up, I forget what. And suddenly the music just shifts to a type of deal. Simple shift, and it completely changed the feel of that entire section of the game there. Where it's just like, suddenly I'm not scared, I'm just gonna run through blasting everything like a standard Doom game. But yeah, now looking back, I'm like, why was I scared of this? As a kid, growing up, I don't get it. Why was I scared of this? It's not that bad. Also, ha ha ha, I have a gun. Yeah, you want to pop out of the wall, demon? Sure. That'll end badly for someone here. Not me. Alright. This roof is so steep. Don't like it. Yeah, but that's the kind of one of the funny things of growing up, and what used to scare me doesn't anymore. Also, Dead Space. I remember Dead Space being so much creepier than I find it now. I guess it's part of it is, you could say I like get desensitized to some of those things. I don't know if it's so much desensitization, so much as it just got used to it. Also, I'm maybe a bit of an adrenaline junkie, and being spooked, gets my adrenaline pumping, and then I'm more excited about that. Like, I enjoy horror sometimes, not necessarily because of the horror aspects, but just because it gets my adrenaline going. Theories, things to think about. And the pile of, why am I the way I am? Things in life. But fine. Where's my ladder? I went the long way around, Birdsley. We're just gonna spin around back to that side, because I don't feel like having to work on that quite the same way. Rocky would never run away from the law and hide out in a dank cottage for years, claiming to be a baker unless he was completely desperate. I thought you guys had, like, legendary... wasn't there something about there being legendary gingerbread? Or something like that? So, if you're not actually bakers, how would you have legendary gingerbread? Pretty sure that it would be a secret that would fall apart real quick if your gingerbread wasn't actually good. I mean, if you claim to be a baker, you actually have to, bake. Well, we're almost done with this roof. Man, one of the issues with this game, though, even with the chatting, like, it's a good game for chatting and all that, but I feel bad for you guys at times, because I know I probably sound like some nut job chatting the way it was about things and bouncing off subject to subject, like someone who's bouncing, like being confused by squirrels all the time or something. I get distracted so easily. I don't even think I'm ADHD. Like, seems like a quality of that sort of thing, but I don't think I am, because I can focus super hard on things at times, but when it comes to these conversations, yep, all over the place. I'll have to think on that. Another part done. Okay, I gotta get the end of this piece, but that will be easier to do once I back down a bit. There we go, getting a better angle. There we go. Yeah, I definitely feel like the housings. This housing, the house's roof would not be fun to climb on. Also, these shingles would definitely be breaking out off and causing major slip hazards a lot more than this game has, because this game has them all perfectly solid and not an issue at all. I feel like that would definitely not be the case in real life. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. I've worked on a number of roofs though in my time. None quite like this though. Which, yeah, may sound funny. Scared of heights, at least of this sort of height. Like climbing on a roof bothers me. But I get kind of used to it over time if I do it enough. And I can kind of adjust at least temporarily. That's one of those fears that I have not gotten over as I've gotten older. Though fear of heights still can really get me good. But yeah, I've worked on a number of roofs helping people get their houses re-roofed over the years. Definitely not something I'd ever want to do as an actual job. Okay, we're missing some spots. Enough here that it's... There we go. Alright, we're done with that, we're done with that, we're done with that. That's all done, that's all done. Gotta get that. The weather vane done. And we're still missing something somewhere because it's not saying, oh yeah, you're done. I guess this has to go here. This line work well with that. I don't have the checklist of... Oh yeah, the fence. I completely forgot about the fence again. Alright, let's try this. Or how hard you'd have to actually have a pressure washer go to strip rust off in a way that actually polishes the metal again. Also, in real life, having lived in a place where rust is a major thing, this would not be in such good shape. You can't just blast rust off of something because it's actually the oxidized metal. So the metal, you're blasting off the metal. So I'd be blowing holes in these things. Something this thin, it wouldn't be coming clean. It'd just be disappearing. Okay, got this side about as well as I can. I gotta work my way over to the other side and hope that I can make this function. I may have to go get the scaffolding to really function with this. I don't really want to, but I may have to just because of the angle is problematic. As I almost fall off. There we go. Chicken's looking a little bruised. There we go. Cool. Alright, I don't know of any... Actually, wait, I can check the setup here. Gable roof frames. I'm missing one of them. And gable roof frame, front gable roof frames. Oh, so there's 2 gable roof frames I'm missing. Roof cap, roof frame, 3 roof frames, and a cap. Alright, I see one of them right here. There's that one. Gotta poke through this. Not that one. Not that one. But timber pillar there. Done. Okay. We'll find you. The roof pillar here is not done. Just gonna keep it on this heavy pressure for the moment. That one's done. That one's done. Done, done. Done. That one is not. So this one right here. There we go. Now it is. Just get this top piece. There we go. Okay, let me check again. Done, 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 done. Main roof frame. Missing one of them. Main roof frame. That one's done. Which one am I missing? This one. All the area on the edge. Ah, there it is. Got it. Okay. Swapping back to this nozzle. Let's work on the fence and hope that it comes clean without a whole lot of hassle. Yeah, not bad. Okay, we can work with this. Do I have to go outside of the fence to get the other side, or is it just the inner side? Which would not make any sense in real life, but for a game, it might. Yeah, the amount of stone wall clean here looks like it's just the inside. We got these posts. Okay. This won't take long. Come on. Cleaning up the woods. Cleaning up the woods. Okay, something weird over there. That looks like a... Yeah. And we have this one here, that's actual tree in there. And then some of this other stuff just suddenly becomes a background painting, it feels like. It looks like the angling. Some of that just looks weird. Like, it looks nice at a loose glance, but it just feels like a backdrop. It's all one piece instead of little pieces. No individual trees, it's all just like a sheet of wood or something, a stage prop. And like those bushes there, those are there separately from some of the other stuff. The layering just gets a little awkward in some areas of this game, I guess is what it'd be. I mean, I shouldn't complain. Not a lot of games aren't going to be as good as Hollow Knight at that sort of thing. Hollow Knight, oh boy, the layering on that game is insane. insane. That's a 2D setup that is done like that. It's just nuts to think about how well Hollow Knight's scenery flows. And how the textures work with Hollow Knight so well as also. To be fair, though, they aren't trying to be as realistic as this with Hollow Knight because, it's giant bugs, giant bug people, and weird stuff going on, not necessarily the same thing. What are you knocking down, kitty? Love how this fence is all dirty, but this pile of wood, sparkly clean, not a speck in sight. On the edge of this wood, that axe, no wood shavings weirdly lying around. Or wood chippings would be more accurate, I suppose. Shavings would be like, well, suggest that they got shaved off. Chipping would be more accurate for an axe, where you're hacking away at pieces. Good. This post is going to be a little trickier, huh? There we go. So I haven't gotten that whole, oh yes, you've only got so many little pieces left announcement. So I wonder how, well, we're at 4 stars, so I wonder how many pieces I'm missing, if there's a on the house I'm still missing. It's a longer chunk of fence, it seems. No, never mind. Cuts off at this fence post here, pretty silent. There we go. Once again, I wish cleaning a fence was this easy. I don't think I've ever had such an easy job of cleaning a fence in real life. So I guess I've done more painting of fences than cleaning them. Doesn't come up as a thought very often because usually fencing gets, washed by like rain and other elements. A lot more so than other things would. Most of my time working with fencing has been to paint it or stain it, which is similar to painting it, but usually involves a lot more waterproofing. Okay, we're almost back to where we started. Ooh, what is that symbol? I don't have a way to zoom in on that, do I? Oh, I can just walk like that. Oh. Can I go out there? I see a lawn gnome over there, but I can't tell what's on that tree. I don't remember if there was a zoom feature. Oh well, not that important, but I wonder what that's supposed to be. Lawn gnomes are like a gag of, oh yes, you're being watched. But that other stuff there, can't really tell what it's going for. Alright, back at the starting post. Alright, we're done with that. We're at 99%. It's still not telling me anything weird. What am I missing? Alright, timber frame, timber pillar, side gable roof. Okay, I'm missing something on one of the roof bits. Then Front dormer roof. Front gable roof. Side gable. This one. Where are you? There we go. Alright. Gotta find timber frames, timber pillars. Timber frames. Timber frame. Timber pillar. So one of these side pillars is not right. Timber frame. Here we go. Here's one that didn't come clean. There we go. Timber frame, timber frame, timber pillar. Timber frame, timber frame, timber pillar. This one's not clean. Oh, I got another one of the pillars. Great. Alright, timber frame. One more frame somewhere. There we go, this one. Alright, now for a window frame. Not that one. Not that one. This one. Alright. Call it good. Oh, there we go. Hey, don't suppose you have time to fan my poor little Trixie, do you? She's all mucked up. Beth Ryerson. Phew, okay. Did take a bit with that one, and yeah, my conversation definitely died out there. I'm a bit too tired for this. Probably. I love how it doesn't show the ladder or anything, so it just looks like I'm standing in air. Thank you so much for making the cottage look wonderful. It feels like a stain on our character has finally been removed, and we can get back to our true passion. Also, into my mind has already leapt the recipe to a magnificent new custard strudel. A custard strudel. That sounds potentially delicious. Huh? Clean the SUV next. Alright. Still on a single option. But we can work with that. But for now, I need to call it a night. It is getting late, and I must go to bed. Thanks everyone so much for watching. Sorry for all the rambling tonight. Been a bit all over. Hope I'm not coming down with something. Good night. Bye.